Hey YouTube, how's it going? Mike the Manic Geek here. Now today we're going to be taking a look at a new product from Monoprice. This is their Select Series mechanical keyboard, and it comes with, in this case, red switches. So we're going to take a quick look at it, and yeah, we're going to see what this thing's all about. Now, as mechanical keyboards go, externally there's really nothing to brag about here. It's basic textured plastic exterior. It's got, basic media functionality across the F keys on the top, including a Windows lockout function for when you're gaming and you don't want to accidentally hit it on either side here. And it does have these nice teal blue lights that show up for your lock indicators over here. They're nice and gentle coloring. It's nothing that's going to distract you overly from the proceedings in front of you on your computer. Now, as far as the keys are concerned, along the bottom they have a rounded edge to them, presumably because of how you're going to be holding your hands over the keyboard when you're typing. This will produce less. It'll be less irritating on your palm and near your thumb when you're resting your hand on the keyboard. Ergonomics, again, pretty basic fare here. There's nothing over the top that was done in that department. The caps, however, do actually have this sort of targeting reticle pattern along the corners of them to help you figure out more accurately where your finger placing is within each keycap, which is a really nice touch. I like that a lot. Now, if I had to say that there was anything strange about this keyboard, there'd be two things. One, this weird Monoprice logo. Guys, what are you doing here? What was wrong with the other logo you had? But the other thing that's actually odd, and this might actually be a deal breaker for some, might be intriguing for others, is this Enter key. The Enter key on this is the only key on this that does not adhere to a typical ANSI keyboard layout and instead opts for an ISO key. This took a little bit of getting used to for me while I was using this keyboard, mostly because I had to acclimate to reaching my pinky out that much further to hit the Enter key, and sometimes it would result in me mistyping something. Not a huge deal for some people, but something you're going to want to keep in mind with this product. Now, it does have rubber feet along the bottom of it, as well as some little kickstands here. These unfortunately do not have any rubber on them, so if you need to elevate the keyboard for your typing needs, you may find that the back of the keyboard could potentially slide around a little bit. Wasn't really a problem during my use case scenario, but when I use a keyboard, I typically don't use these, so your mileage may vary. Now, probably the most interesting thing about this keyboard is the Gateron switches that it's equipped with. Yes, it's not cherry and it's not kale. They went with Gateron here. Now, presumably this was because it was a cost-saving measure, but any costs that was shaved off the production price of this keyboard is definitely not felt by the end user. In fact, having gone to a local retailer near myself and sampled cherry red switches from a different keyboard, I actually found that I preferred the Gateron switches a bit more. Actuation force felt more consistent, the switches feel less vague, and in general, even coming from a brown switch keyboard myself, I found that this was not entirely unpleasant to type on. Really, the only thing that made this genuinely unpleasant to type with for me personally was the spacebar on this keyboard. And that's mostly because the retention springs on either side of the spacebar have a bit too much tension force on them for my liking. So I found myself missing spaces every now and then. Again, your mileage may vary. Now, when I went ahead and dug into the guts of this keyboard, I was pleasantly surprised to see that my justifications for considering this a very sturdy keyboard were correct. There's a nice solid mid plate that runs across the center of the printed circuit board on this, held in place with little tabs on the other side to make sure that it's not going to fall out anywhere. Now, there is also a plastic mid plate that sits above the metal one on this, and that's what your space bar and your shift key wind up hooking themselves to. So while it is actually needed for making sure that everything stays in place here, you'll find that you can actually remove it pretty easily if you get to this point, which does actually give you, as a modder, customization options for this keyboard that are a bit more subtle than a lot of other keyboards out there. Probably the only thing that was a little odd to me when I took apart the keyboard was looking at the back of the printed circuit board. Now, don't get me wrong, the solder joints on this are beautifully done. This is an excellently executed keyboard. But I did notice a bit of an overspray of something on there. Could have been from when they were cleaning off the keyboards after soldering. Not entirely certain what the substance is. But just something to note that should you take apart this keyboard, it may be there. It doesn't impact performance or anything like that. All of the keys work on this just fine. Just something you're going to want to take note of to expect should you dig into this keyboard. Now, another thing that I noticed when I took this apart is that the cable for this is in fact easily removable. Now, it's not that there's anything wrong with this cable out of the box. It's a nice flexible cable with tons of length, a gold-plated connector at the end. It's just not braided is all, which, you know, for some that's a deal breaker, for others it's not. But if you wanted to take this keyboard apart, you can very easily get to this cable, remove it, and braid it your own damn self. Now, like I mentioned before, typing on this was a relatively enjoyable experience. I wasn't expecting to like red switches as much as I did. I'll go ahead and pull up a typing test that I did for you guys now with the lavalier mic attached to my chest so you guys can hear more or less what I would hear when I'm typing on this keyboard. So yeah, guys, that about does it for this review. Again, this was the Monoprice Select Series Red Switch mechanical keyboard. This keyboard retails for like $60 to $80, depending on whether or not you find it on a special. For that kind of money, for a red switch keyboard that has switches that I feel are, in this case, superior to Cherry MX Reds, if you're looking for a way to get into the mechanical keyboard game and you don't want to destroy your bank account doing it, this needs to be on your short list. I really thoroughly enjoyed using this keyboard. It's unfortunately not going to be a mainstay on my desk, mostly because it does still have the numpad on it, but some of you guys out there may actively enjoy that. But let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about this keyboard? Were you expecting me to say what I had to say about the Gateron switches that were equipped here? Also, did you guys even know that Monoprice made peripherals like this in the first place? I certainly hope you did, because they're really good, and you should definitely be checking them out. Again, huge thanks to Steve over at Monoprice for setting me up with this keyboard through the Monoprice program. Again, this was not a sponsored thing from Monoprice. No money exchanged hands. They just gave me the keyboard so that I could deliver an honest opinion to you guys. And honestly, this is an extremely good keyboard. You definitely need to be considering it. So guys, as per usual, do that thumbs up, thumbs down, share, and subscribe thing. Until next time, take it easy.